The secret of the classic TV series of Maverick was in the lighthearted, calm man spirit of the title character played by James Garner. And Mel Gibson makes a perfect choice to play the character in this movie version of the story because he has the same larcenous smile.
You always been gutless?
Was that fast? I thought that was fast.
The movie takes place in a frontier town where Maverick has arrived hoping to raise $5,000 so that he can complete his entry fee for the World Championship of Poker about to be held in St. Louis. Turns out it's not going to be that easy to get money out of this town.
Oh, isn't he wonderful?
Oh, yeah.
Jodie Foster co-stars as a poker-playing frontier woman who can more than hold her own in the rough streets of the Old West.
How can I possibly go on without my wallet? If you don't give me back my money, I'll have ass thrown in jail.
Damn.
Oh, don't get mad at me. I can't help it if you're a miserable thief.
I'm a very good thief, mister. I've just been having a stroke of bad luck, that's all.
And James Garner himself turns up in the role of the local sheriff who doesn't approve of Maverick's quick dealings.
I'm going to be taking this coach.
So am I. That ought to be fun.
Lord knows what that ruffian might have done had we been alone together on the stage for 2 days.
Well, I hope you can relax and enjoy the journey now. See, my feeling is that if there weren't any women, none of us would be here.
Well, what kind of sense does that make? If there weren't any men, we wouldn't be here either.
Are you mocking me?
The movie was directed by Richard Donner, who directed all the Lethal Weapon films and has some of the same fun here with kind of a male buddy action formula, although at the same time the movie is also a comedy, just as the TV series was. And I think the key is Gibson, because he's kind of a jokester at heart, a comedian who is able to bring humor to this material about a poker player who would rather bluff someone. Tom Cruise stars in The Firm as a poor boy who has performed brilliantly at Harvard Law School but still has a deep insecurity about money. His services are bid for by all of the top law firms all over the country, but he finally decides to sign with a firm from Memphis because, as he correctly predicts, they've made him an offer he can't refuse.
I bribed a clerk in the Harvard Law Placement Office for the exact amount of the highest offer, and then added 20%.
Mitch, the letter you got from Bendini, Lambert, and Locke was the only one sent out. We want you.
Cruise's wife is played by Jean Triplehorn. You may remember her from Basic Instinct. She has helped put him through law school, and now she can't believe the size of this offer.
Why?
Why? Whose side are you on anyway?
Yours.
While working late one night, Cruise is approached by a couple of FBI agents who give him still more indications that something is deeply wrong with the firm.
That's 4 dead lawyers out of 41 in less than 10 years.
None of them over the age of, what, 45? I mean, that beats the hell out of any life insurance stables I've ever heard about.
Who are you guys?
The firm's chief of security is played by Wilford Brimley, who usually plays nice old guys, but this time plays a villain very effectively and threatens Cruise with blackmail if he doesn't go along with the firm.
Here's your Abby, one day walking to the mailbox, anticipating the arrival of her red book, her sharper image catalog. What does she find instead? She finds heartache, Mitch. The death of love and trust. Imagine her one day opening that.
The director of the movie is Sidney Pollack, and he has surrounded Cruise with a large gallery of very, very good character performances, so that at every moment during this film, there's a certain level of reality to play against the suspense, the intrigue, and the thriller elements. The movie is based on the best-selling novel by John Grisham. It's a good adaptation. Poetic Justice is the new film by John Singleton, who made headlines and long lines at the box office a couple of years ago with his big hit Boys in the Hood. Now, at the ripe old age of 25, he's back with his second picture, starring Janet Jackson as a beautician in South Central Los Angeles, whose boyfriend is killed in an act of meaningless street violence. Going into a long period of mourning, she sticks to her job at the beauty parlor and decides she wants to have nothing more to do with men.
If you listen to me closely, I'll tell you what I know. Storm clouds are gathering. The wind is gonna blow.
Janet Jackson's best friend, played by Regina King, convinces her to come along with her and her boyfriend and another guy who works for the post office. They're going to use a U.S. mail truck in order to do a run from Los Angeles to Oakland. The mailman is played by Tupac Shakur, and he really has eyes for Janet Jackson, but at first she can't stand it.
I'm a black woman, okay? I deserve respect.
Walk your ass home.
Girl, you know he tripping because he like you.
Singleton says Poetic Justice tells the flip side of Boys in the Hood. In that film, young men were being killed in the streets. In this film, we find out that life goes on for their girlfriends and for the community.
All you do is get drunk all the time. That's why I never go any place with you, because you always acting crazy. Just like my damn mama.
One of the surprises of Poetic Justice is the performance by Janet Jackson, who up until now, of course, has been known primarily as a singing star. Here, though, there's no show business, flash, or glamour, and she's very convincing. Poetic Justice is a sweet film. It's a romance with a heart, and Some movies start out badly, other movies end badly, other movies have bad parts in between, but Hocus Pocus is bad from beginning to end, and I hated this movie from the beginning when 3 witches are put to death in Salem, Massachusetts, 300 years ago, until the end when the same 3 witches are put to death again in Salem, Massachusetts, today. The 3 witches are played by Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy from Sister Act, and they're resurrected after an old curse is reactivated and go on the warpath in Salem today on Halloween.
Sisters, All Hallows Eve has become a night of frolic, where children wear costumes and run amok. Amok! Oh, really, just one child.
There's a subplot involving a young boy from the Salem of 300 years ago who was turned into a cat with apparently even more than 9 lives.
Look!
I hate it when that happens. What? I told you I can't die.
The performers in this movie could be accused of a lot of things, but underacting is not one of them.
This is the end.
No.
I feel it.
Okay.
We are doomed. I feel the icy breath of death upon my neck. Mary,
What?
take me to the window.
Yes, Winnie.
I wish to say goodbye.
Yes, Winnie.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Bye-bye, cruel world.
Goodbye to life.
Bye-bye, life.
Watching this movie, it seemed to me as if a sort of hysteria had overcome the set, as if they realized that the story and the screenplay gave them nothing to do, but maybe they thought they could make up for that by running around and screaming hysterically at each other. It was a hard film to follow. It was a harder film to care about. It was a real hard film to sit through. I give Hocus Pocus. I want to talk to you now about one of the worst movies I've ever seen. In fact, a movie that is so bad it's almost inexplicable because it's bad in strange ways. You sit there looking at the screen and saying, what is going on here? What did they think that I would think about this movie? The film stars Martin Short as a little boy. Here he is making life hell for his uncle, played by Charles Grodin, because little Martin wants to go to the dinosaur park, and when his uncle won't take him, he spends all of his time playing sadistic practical jokes on him.
This is my nephew, Clifford. Say hello to my boss, Mr. Ellis.
Oh, isn't he a cute little fella? Hi, Sonny.
Good morning, Mr. Ellis. My, that's the bestest looking wig I've ever seen.
Oh, no, that's not a wig. Please.
You said it was a wig.
No.
You called it a rug, too.
No. You misunderstood me, son. I never said you wore a wig, sir.
Good.
I guess it's supposed to be funny that Short is playing a little boy, but doesn't he look weird here? Doesn't he look odd? What are we supposed to think about? I'm not sure.
If you even look at me funny, if you do one thing that I find weird, which is, like your middle name, see, you're doing it right now. Can you just act like a human boy for 1 minute here? Look at me like a person. You can't do it for more than a few seconds. Look at me like a human boy.
Grodin's fiancée is played here by Mary Steenburgen, and she has her doubts about marriage because she doesn't think that he likes kids. So he pretends to be nice to little Clifford in order to prove that he does like kids, but his patience wears thin after he's sent to San Francisco by Clifford on a wild goose chase.
You said that you were a simple-minded moron.
Sarah's father called me a moron?
A simple-minded moron.
And Sarah's father put the lipstick in my pocket.
Yes.
Why would he do that?
Because he hates you. I don't know why.
I saw the movie in a theater with about 150 other people, and they all just stared at the screen in total stone silence, not only not laughing, but almost stupefied by the sights that they were seeing. It's very hard to relate to this movie on any known level. The program is an unusual combination of a rah-rah sports movie and an expose. On one level, we're rooting for the team to win its big game, and on another level, we're horrified by the abuses and scandals of big-time collegiate football, which seem to lurk just beneath the surface.
Now, any football program worth its name is a special brotherhood.
Elite group of warriors.
I'm gonna bust your gut open and watch you die! Starting defense! A select group of knights.
The movie shows us several players who have big-time problems, including the starting quarterback, Craig Sheffer, who's an alcoholic and self-destructive.
But the Timberwolves, coming off 2 disappointing seasons, will only go as far as the strong right arm of Heisman candidate Joe Kane will take them. Is that right, Joey? You gonna lead us to the promised land like that says?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna lead. The question is, can you boys fuck me?
Omar Epps co-stars as a high school All-American, is good enough to be on the starting team as a freshman, but has trouble with his grades and trouble, too, with his heart after he falls in love with his tutor, played by Halle Berry.
I'm everything your father used to be and don't want you falling back into.
Don't know.
Look, you was right from jump. I should have got another tutor. Thanks for everything you did for me.
Trying to hold all the pieces together is the longtime coach, played by James Caan, who knows that unless he can somehow get this team through the season and into a bowl game, he'll be looking for a new job.
You play that second half the way you did the first, this is what the rest of your season's gonna look like. We're gonna ring the bell! We're gonna ring that championship bell!
The program was directed by David S. Ward, who made Major League a few years ago and knows about sports movies. One of the things he knows is that college football is not as simple as it was in the days of Knute Rockne. For example, we get not only the grade problems, alcohol problems, romantic problems, but also terrible injuries, steroid abuse, and cheating. And all these scandals are just almost too much for James Caan to keep under control. So by the end of the film, it's interesting. We're not only hoping that the team is going to win its big game, but we're also praying that somehow they won't fall apart right there on the field. I give the movie 3 stars, and I'm Roger Ebert.